What would happen if your job was like your marriage? Hey there, I'm Sharon Pope. I help strong and successful women who are struggling in disconnected marriages get the confidence and clarity they need to either fix the struggles in their marriage or know how to move forward without regret. If you like what you hear in this video, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. So today we're talking about what would happen if your job was like your marriage, or your marriage like your job, however you want to think about it. So I want you to imagine this for a second. Imagine that you have a job and you just stop showing up to that job. You just don't go into the office. Or let's say you do go into the office, but you don't do any of the work that you're supposed to be doing while you're there. What do you think would happen? You'd probably get fired, right? So how long do you think it would take before your employer would fire you? A week? A few months? Do you think they'd just let you hang out for a few years, not really contributing, not really being engaged, but just paying you? Now, here's the thing, and here's how I want to relate this to your marriage, because we understand that as it relates to our jobs. We don't understand it when it comes to our marriages. So I want to give you an example. There was a client of mine who had come to the point in her marriage where she knew that she could not continue the way that it was. You see, they had been living as roommates for an awfully long time, just sort of coexisting under the same roof. And it looked like a marriage, it looked like a family, but it sure didn't feel like one. She said they never really talked about anything, at least not anything that mattered. They talked about the weather, they talked about the kids, but nothing about the two of them. And the thing was that her husband was there physically with her, but he wasn't engaged with her. He wasn't engaged in her life or the kids' lives or what was going on inside the family. So when she had gone to him and said, I can no longer continue the relationship like this. If things don't change, I have to pursue a separation. And he was shocked. He said, I had no idea that you were this unhappy. I had no idea that it had gotten to this point. Except if you go back to the analogy of if you just didn't show up to your job for a few years, you wouldn't actually be terribly surprised if your employer fired you, right? So he shouldn't really be surprised, because the reality was he had stopped showing up inside the marriage years ago. He was staying later at work. When he would come home from work, he wouldn't sit down and eat dinner with the family. He would eat dinner in front of the TV, right? And the whole time that he was home, he either had his nose in his phone or he was staring at the TV. And he was hardly ever in a good mood. Right? So he had left the relationship or abandoned the relationship and just stopped showing up for it years ago. But when my client got really honest with herself, she knew he wasn't the only one, that she also had stopped showing up inside the relationship as well. And as we traced it back, she realized that after they had their second child, things just got so busy that by the time she laid her head down on the pillow at night, she was just passing out because she was so exhausted. And so there was nothing really left in the tank to give to her marriage, to give to that relationship. And so in that way, she realized he wasn't the only one that had checked out of the relationship. She had too. Now here's what I want you to think about. Relationships are what really matter in this life. Right? When we're on our deathbeds, what's going to matter is, did we love and were we loved? What will matter is the quality of our relationships. But the quality of our relationships is in direct proportion to how we show up consistently inside those relationships. So if one or both of you has sort of checked out of the marriage and it has caused the two of you to become incredibly disconnected, and you want to turn that around, but you just don't know how, then I would invite you to check out the notes underneath this video, because there is a link to an online application to potentially be able to schedule a complimentary truth and clarity session with myself or a member of my team so that we can explore whether or not there's a fit for you and I to work together. If you like what you heard, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel, and if you want to be notified whenever I post a new video, just ring the bell and we'll send you a notification. Take good care.